Huskies ringing in the new year in Orlando at CFE Arena on the UCF campus. 80 degrees outside. We got away from the snow and the ice, but they were nice enough to bring some snow and ice to us for UConn women's basketball on SNY as the Huskies get set to take on the Knights. And they come into a new calendar year rolling. 87 wins in a row, and that's not the only streak of note for the Huskies, who come in as the #1 team in the country, 12-0 as they start play in the American. Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to Orlando. Alongside Megan Colmo, I am Eric Freed. Well, what have we learned about the Huskies so far? Certainly that they have some intestinal fortitude in more ways than one. Katie Lou Samuelson's performance against Maryland. What are some of the things you've learned about UConn so far this season?
You know, the big thing that sticks out to me is just their toughness. They played this grueling schedule, and both at home and on the road against some of the best teams in the country. Their toughness has shown through, but they've been able to score in a variety of ways, which I think was a pleasant surprise to Gino Auriemma and his staff. But we've also seen their margin for error is about that big.
That margin for error gets a little wider as they go into conference play, frankly. 63-0 all-time in the American, in regular season and postseason play. So how do they get better as they go into conference play?
Well, you know, I talked about that toughness, their mental toughness and maturity. Gino talked about a lack of maturity with this young team. Well, we're going to see just how tough and how mature they are, because if you play against some of the inferior competition that they will see, they have to still play, as he likes to call it, Connecticut basketball, play the game the way it's supposed to be played, because if they don't, we'll be some miserable people after those 30-point wins.
They take on a UCF team that is 10-3 on the season as they open up conference play. 12 games, 12 wins leading up to the start of play in the American for the top-ranked Huskies. They begin the new year in Orlando against UCF. The opening tip is next on SNY. Just a moment ago, UConn head coach Gino Auriemma giving a hug to a notable assistant coach for UCF. It's Nikisha Sales. We'll talk about Nikisha as we go along here today. Here are the starting lineups presented by Subaru. Sanaya Chong, Kia Nurse, Katie Lou Samuelson, Gabby Williams, Nafisa Collier for the Huskies. For UCF, freshman KK Wright, Ayla Schuler, Aaliyah Gregory, Zakira Lewis is the team's leading scorer for the third straight year, and Tolu Omakore rounding out the starting five for the Knights, who come in with a 10-3 record. And we are ready for basketball. The Knights in their home white, UConn in the road blue, and this will feel very much like a home game for UConn because this building is packed with UConn fans as the New Year's Day matinee between UConn and UCF is underway.
There's great energy here in the crowd in this building.
Chong to Gabby Williams. Now to Nafisa Collier. The return to Williams. Nice pass and the finish.
Those two have developed a really nice chemistry on the inside. Nice give and go.
Gregory. Kia Nurse got caught up in the air. Good score for UCF as Lewis averaging better than 16.5 points a game. She can't make the open jumper. Here comes UConn. Nurse back out top. Samuelson sets, launches for three.
She just makes it look so easy. And it makes such a difference when you knock down your first shot.
Well, it's all about the ball movement. They keep moving the ball around. Everybody gets a touch, it seems. That's knocked out of the hands of Gregory. We got players like Williams and Samuelson who can't finish. Gregory gets it for two. She's a junior out of Tampa, averaging 12 points a game. That's second on the team in scoring. Came off a 19-point performance last time out against UC Davis. That was a loss. 3-on-1 the other way after the UConn turnover. The freshman drops it down, and UCF can't finish. And now another turnover for UConn. Back-to-back trips, back-to-back turnovers. Right to Schuler. Blocked by Collier. And now Kia Nurse wisely will settle things down.
UCF will mix it up defensively, but look for them to be in the zone a lot. They cannot stay with UConn man-to-man.
But if UConn keeps knocking down threes, can they stay in the zone as Kia Nurse knocks down the three for her first points?
Yeah, it's the worst possible thing for UCF, for UConn to be knocking down those long-range shots will make it very difficult for them to stay in that zone.
UCF trying to run their offense. Here's Williams against the freshman Wright, and Gabby Williams with the block. Couldn't save it. 6 to shoot for UCF. UCF is coached by Katie Abrahamson Henderson. In her first year after 6 seasons with UAlbany, won 5 straight America East titles, won a game in the NCAA tournament last year. While coaching at Albany, had some memorable matchups against Jen Rosati coached Hartford teams. Shot clock was down to 2, batted out of bounds by Omokore. He'll be UConn basketball.
And we talked with Katie before the game, and you know, she's loving it here at UCF, but she's coaching every possible facet of the game. And she said, you watch me on the sidelines. She said every single possession, everything we do, I'm coaching, because she's really trying to teach these guys from the ground up.
10-3 record coming in, so a very good start in non-conference play. And here's another turnover, the third for UConn. Gregory has it for 2.
Really nice defense by the Knights.
Williams for Kia Nurse. Nurse. And a foul is called on UCF, a blocking foul. Non-shooting foul, so it'll be UConn basketball on the baseline. There you see Gino Oriema feeling much better after the Maryland game where he could barely talk. Had his voice back here down in Orlando. The team went from Maryland and stayed in Maryland after their big win against the Terps. 87-81, came down here, spent a couple of days in the warmth of the Florida sun.
Although Friday was gray and overcast, they said. And I didn't have much sympathy for them, as it was gray and overcast in Connecticut and a lot colder. But you know, he even missed a day of practice last week. That never happens.
1 of 2 for Kia Nurse. It's an early 9-4 lead for UConn. Hasn't been perfect for the Huskies so far with the 3 turnovers. Jocelyn Massey, redshirt senior out of Detroit, number 21, is coming to the game. Right, off a foot, but picked up by Gregory. Gregory challenged and blocked by Gabby Williams. Williams with a couple of blocks here in the early going. John, good little move on the baseline. Great, count it in the foul. Boy, Sanaya played a really good game, Meg, against Maryland, didn't she? And now carrying it over here in the opening minutes against UCF.
It's nice to see her put back-to-back. Here, look at that nice big step to create that space. But for her to start this game well after playing tremendously, particularly at the end of that Maryland game. Big shot from the corner, reminiscent of last year's Maryland contest at the Garden.
Can't finish the three-point play. Go ahead.
But if she could continue to string together good games, that would do a world of good for her confidence.
Collier with the bump. Gregory was looking for the foul call, did not get it.
I think she more just stubbed her toe on the court.
Nurse got a hand on it. Shot clock's down to 3. Now down to 1. And Katie Lou Samuelson with the block as the shot clock expired. And here's Nurse in transition. Sets for 3. Rattles it in. Timeout called by UCF. Huskies out to a double-digit lead in the opening minutes of the conference opener here in Orlando. Huskies haven't missed from the field yet, 5 for 5 as they jump out to a 14-4 lead over UCF. Let's go to Justine Ward, whose report today is brought to you by Chevrolet. Hello, Justine.
Hey, Eric. Well, all anybody wants to talk about is the win streak. That is, unless, of course, you're Gino Auriemma. Up until this point, it was not discussed. It was not talked about. In fact, even the players shied away from talking about it. Gino even called it a distraction. That is up until practice yesterday. Before practice, he said it was time to have a conversation with the team about the win streak. He wanted to get their take on it, see if it was something they wanted ownership of. They, of course, said yes, but he reminded them, our approach here doesn't change. We still go into the game every single way that we have been. We're not focusing on it. And he said the end goal is a national championship. We cannot get to 91. Doesn't matter to us. Our end goal is a national championship.
Thank you very much, Justine. Well, I think it's fun along the way to competing for another national championship if you could win 91, 92, 93. I think it's more, maybe from Gino's point of view, something for the fans to get into, but it's good to see the team as well grabbing onto it, even though they weren't here for the majority of it. As we know, this is a new year, Meg, but you know, that's whenever you can set the bar higher and higher and higher like this program has done under Gino Auriemma.
You're right, and they've proven over the last month that, you know, they've got the maturity and they've gotten some big wins.
Good job on the offensive glass by Fifi Endor, who checked into the game, and a second chance here for UCF.
But they're proven they belong in the conversation with the great teams of Connecticut. They're a very good team right now. We will see through the course of the year if they become one of the greats.
Shot clock down to 6. Right. Samuelson with the long arms getting a hand on it. Gregory recovering. Battle for the loose ball, a tie-up, and possession arrow UCF.
Possession arrow favors UCF.
You know, many of the questions about Katie Lou Samuelson is, okay, can she play defense? Well, there, the nice help D and knocking it down and stealing that ball. She has not only expanded her offensive repertoire, not just a three-point shooter, but she's working hard on the defensive end as well. And we're watching this young lady evolve from a good basketball player to a great one.
How close to being a great one is she right now? I mean, look at her last 4 games. 26 points, 26 points, 23 points, 23 points. I mean, the scoring seems to be there whenever she wants it.
I think the biggest thing to me was the way she played in that Maryland game. She was sick, didn't feel well, threw up during the game and before, but still gutted it out. To me, that's what's going to set her apart, that kind of toughness.
Sorry, Matt, Gregory can't get it to go. Another offensive rebound, this time for Massey. Well, our head coach took note after the game. He pointed out that it was a great growth moment for the sophomore out of California. That one won't go down, as UCF has had a couple of looks, but Endor can't get that one to go.
And as we've seen at Connecticut, great players are not judged by their individual numbers, it's by championships.
Oh, good feed inside. Williams to Collier.
Once again, Williams to Collier. Those two are having a lot of fun working between the high and low posts together.
Huskies 6 for 6 from the field. 4 assists on those 6 field goals. Inside of 2:45 to go in the first quarter. Another block. Collier knocks it out of bounds. 4 to shoot for UCF.
Spacing and position. Nice job by Collier, sealing her defender on her right side. And the perfect pass from the high post.
Sanaya Chong checks out Crystal Dangerfield into the game. 2 on the shot clock. Gregory misses the iron. It's a shot clock violation. So the Huskies will take over on top 16-4 first quarter here in Orlando. Let's see how the freshman responds here for UConn. 21 total minutes in the last 2 games. Samuelson deep 3. Rebound by Endor for the Knights. KK Wright, the freshman from Orlando running the point. The only player with a positive assist-to-turnover ratio for UCF. They've had trouble taking care of the basketball.
Impressive for a freshman to come into a college game and take such good care of the ball.
Leading the team in total minutes, so she has earned more playing time as she's gone along. And a foul is called on Dangerfield.
UConn foul 11.
Well, you alluded to the lack of playing time that Dangerfield played against Maryland. And you know, this kid, it's hard for every freshman. You come in as this heralded high school superstar, and to come into this program, especially as a point guard, she's never had to work this hard, never been held this accountable.
Thrown away, another turnover for UCF. The foul was actually assessed to Kia Nurse. It's the first foul on UConn here this afternoon. Inside of 2 to play, first quarter. Williams back outside. Nurse has 2 threes. Can't get a third, but there's Samuelson. Meg just talked about how she's going from being a good player to a great player, and you crash the offensive glass and get putbacks. That's another thing that she's added to her game this year.
Yeah, she's not just a three-point shooter anymore.
UCF is 2 of 15 from the field. UConn is 7 of 9 from the field. And there's a turnover for the Knights as Dangerfield has Collier in the middle, and Collier slammed down the brakes. It was tipped out of bounds, though. Still UConn ball.
Well, there's a nice skip pass. The ball doesn't go in, but tracking down the offensive rebound. Samuelson staying active away from the ball.
Ashley Polachek has come on for UCF. Dangerfield straight on for 3. Had 3 points and 2 assists in 13 minutes in the win against Maryland. Hot shooting continues for the Huskies, and they have been getting stops on this end of the floor. Batted away, another turnover, knocked away by Gabby Williams. And Williams running ahead, but thrown away by Dangerfield. Polachek will slow things down. Final minute of the first quarter. And there's Williams again. Has Dangerfield trailing. Dangerfield trying to return it to Gabby Williams, but that'll go in the books as another turnover for the freshman. Gregory on the push. Followed up and put in. Counted the foul. The basket for Schuler.
And Gregory was sitting there on the ground going, really? You couldn't have called a foul? She thought she got fouled here. They could have called that on Nurse. But the good hustle by Schuler to not give up on the play, track down the offensive rebound, get herself to the line.
So the score is 21-6 with the free throw pending. Yeah, when you look at it, 6 turnovers for UConn here in the first quarter. So if you had to guess, what would Gino's reaction be in the huddle at the end of this first quarter?
It won't be a very light conversation, I'll say that.
There's a foul on Polachek.
UCF foul for Ashley Polachek.
Sam, do you have any idea what's left on the shot clock?
UConn ball.
Doesn't matter what the score is, you always have to play the game the right way.
Dangerfield finds Collier, and I'll say
That's a good recovery.
Crystal made a pretty good recovery with her head coach breathing down her neck. The finish by Collier and the foul.
That's a way to get him off your back. Sensational pass from the freshman.
And excellent awareness when it came to how much time was on the clock. They inbounded the ball with a little over 6 seconds to go as Nafisa Collier steps to the free throw line to finish off the three-point play. And that will do it for a very workmanlike first quarter for the Huskies. Very good from the field. 9 of 11 shooting. Wasn't perfect with the turnovers, but on the scoreboard looks pretty good. 24-6. UConn here on New Year's Day over UCF. UConn holding UCF to 3 of 17 shooting in the first quarter. They lead 24-6 over UCF. Let's go to Meg for a look at Como's Court Vision, brought to you by Yale New Haven Health.
You know, Gino talked about some of the weaknesses of this team, and defensively he worried about how he would stop teams. Well, when you've got the athleticism of Gabby Williams, who she can move so well laterally, her timing is sensational. She can elevate. She is perhaps the best defender on this team because she can guard the perimeter player and go side to side better than anybody, but then she can also body up in that low post and uses her quickness to get around the taller players, and again can elevate so quickly. She's an athlete. I don't think we've ever seen anything like her at the University of Connecticut.
Start of the second quarter, UConn possession. And a foul called on UCF. 6 seconds into the quarter. Fifi Andor will check in as Massey heads to the bench after picking up her second personal foul.
Much deeper bench for UCF, certainly than the UConn Huskies bench.
Samuelson. Good defensive play by Schuler as UCF takes it away.
Yeah, great hustle by Gregory to save the ball from going out of bounds.
UConn with 6 turnovers in the first quarter, 5 first quarter turnovers for the Knights.
Yeah, some sloppy offense by UConn, but you have to give UCF some credit.
And illegal screen called on Schuler. It'll be UConn ball. Let's head back over to Justine.
Well, Eric, I listened in on the UConn huddle in between the first and second quarter. The first thing I heard Gino say is, hey, that's some great defense we're playing. You don't hear that often from Gino. He's always very critical of the defense. It's one thing he always tells me needs improvement. So to hear that is a good sign. He also said, let's keep the ball moving.
Gabby Williams now with 4 points, and it's a 20-point lead for UConn.
That's a good point, Justine. That man doesn't often throw around a lot of praise.
That's a 10 count, so it's a turnover for UCF. Well, it's interesting when we were talking to Gino back before the Baylor game, the biggest game of the year at that time. They played so many big ones, and Gino seemed like he was, what do we say? It's almost like you're being nice to this team.
Who are you?
He said it's against my nature. So.
Until you graduate. Once you graduate, you're the greatest thing that ever lived.
Good feed from Dangerfield and a better finish by Collier.
Collier is just unstoppable when she gets the ball.
UConn's done a great job on the top score for UCF, as they normally do against the opponent's top scorers. We've seen that through the years here in American play. As Gabby Williams is fouled, she'll shoot 2. So Kira Lewis 0 for 4 from the field. How about the ball movement here, Meg?
You know, it's terrific ball movement, great spacing.
At the line for UConn, number 15.
And, gosh, Nafisa. They're, the fadeaway, creating a little bit of space. She's just so smooth with the basketball. It's so efficient.
Kia Nurse will get a rest as Sanaya Chong comes in. So it'll be Dangerfield and Chong with Williams, Samuelson, and Collier. Gabby averaging just under 11 points a game, 1 of 2 from the free throw line. Shooting 68% on the season. And 16 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Was battling foul trouble, as everybody knows, in that win at Maryland, 87-81. For UConn's 7th win over a top 15 team this season. Right, back out top. Now drives with 3 on the shot clock, another block shot. Pounded down, and here's Chong the other way. Good recovery by UCF defensively. Williams knocks down the jumper.
Gabby Williams.
7 points for Gabby, 7 points for Kia Nurse, 7 points for Nafisa Collier.
They just have so many different scoring weapons and different ways to beat you.
Again, more trouble getting it out of the backcourt and thrown away. The defense continues to be solid for the Huskies. Oh, Dangerfield walked. Got her feet tangled up. Let's take you back to the block by Gabby.
Team defense. It could have been either one of them, Samuelson or Williams, and then nice spacing there, finding the open spot on the wing.
Gabby heads to the bench as Natalie Butler will come into the game. The one thing you notice about Williams as we watch, the last time we were with you on SNY was December 1st in that impressive win against DePaul as UConn forces another turnover. Sanaya Chong drops it off to Samuelson. That looks good. It is good. Timeout called by UCF. Katie Abrahamson Henderson sprinted out the half court to get that timeout because it is getting away from the Knights quickly. 28-point lead for the Huskies. This is a 26-2 run for UConn as the winning streak is at 87, on their way so far to making it 88. A win today would leave UConn 2 shy of their record 90 straight victories that ran from 2008 to 2010. It'll also be their 31st straight win on the road, which would set a new NCAA record, and their 100th straight true road win against an unranked team. I got 1,000 of these things. I could go on all day because they've provided some pretty good material.
I just shake my head. It's staggering.
Once again, shot clock getting deep here for UCF. It's at 4. Right. It's going to have to force something up. Ducks under, and Collier rebounds the miss.
The consistency of this program is what is just astounding.
Butler was bumped as she tried to catch it. That's a turnover for the Huskies.
And in fairness to Butler, it wasn't a great pass from Collier.
That's 8 turnovers now for UConn. Endor, good little move to get free. Butler couldn't grab the rebound, but it's taken away by Dangerfield. 10-0 run to start the quarter here for UConn. Collier, pretty good pass there from Butler, just enough for Collier to grab it. She has 9. This is the 5th meeting all time between UCF and UConn. UConn's 4-0. This is the only meeting this year between the two teams, and on New Year's Day 3 years ago, UConn won 100-45. Trending that way here. We take you back to the pass by Butler.
I thought she telegraphed that pass a bit, but Collier did a tremendous job of securing that position while getting fronted. And then it was a really nice pass.
Dangerfield and Collier to the bench as Nurse and Williams come back in, and Sanaya Chong takes it away. Sanaya on travel, just couldn't pull the trigger on what she wanted to do with it on the 3-on-1.
Those are those plays that you just want them back.
Batted away by Samuelson, kept it in play nicely. And an offensive foul. She got that free arm out a little bit to try to get some space, it would appear. That's the call.
Let's take a look at this. Stepped into the passing lane. And Brian Burnett was right there to see it. I thought it was a pretty good call. Her left arm did go out.
Brian, appreciate your support. Once again, UCF just trying to slow the pace down a little bit. Coach Abe telling us before the game had to keep things slow. You can't run and stay with UConn. We all have seen that. But most importantly, #1 key was do not turn the basketball over. And UCF now, with that turnover right there, 13 turnovers with 4:48 to go in the second quarter.
And that's what UConn does to teams. You know, they're known for their scoring, but as we have seen over the years, Eric, their defense is what picks teams apart.
Williams tries to drive, flips it up to 2.
Really good offense, great patience, good spacing, good decision making. That's another sign of the maturity of this team.
There's another 10 count.
10-second violation.
UCF turns it over for the 14th time.
Just really good decision making, her supreme athleticism. But earlier in that possession, I thought Kia Nurse could have taken the three-point shot. Good decision to let the offense flow a little bit more. Nice pass.
Samuelson, open look. Couldn't get it. Here's Gregory. Inside of 4 minutes to play, second quarter. It's been all UConn. UCF has not scored until that moment in the second quarter. It was 24-6 Huskies after one, now 38-8. Williams to Butler. Butler is fouled by Endor. So Natalie will go to the free throw line to shoot a couple. Coming up, join Gary Apple and Kara Walters for the first half highlights and their analysis on the UConn Women's Basketball Halftime Show presented by Tri-State Ford. And you'll hear from Gino Auriemma about keeping this team motivated.
And this is not their first rodeo. I mean, they've dominated the American. But think back to the Big East days. They dominated that conference as well. So this is not new to them. Certainly not new to him.
2 free throws for Natalie Butler, her first points of the afternoon. UConn will keep the pressure, three-quarter court. There's a trap across half court, and knocked out of bounds, last touch by UConn.
UCF has really struggled with UConn's full court pressure.
14 turnovers. UConn has turned the ball over 10 times.
That will certainly be fodder for a halftime conversation, for something to work on in the second half. Doesn't matter what the score is, Gina will always find something to work on.
Gregory. Butler there to make it tough, but Gregory makes a tough shot.
Tremendous shot from Gregory. But I saw Gino turn to his staff and, you know, how does she get that shot off is what he's wondering.
Dangerfield couldn't make the open three. Sanaya Chong sprinted back defensively for UConn. Dangerfield recovering as well. Gregory has had the hot hand for UCF. She's into double figures now with 10.
A nice crossover dribble to open up that shot.
Williams will get a trip to the free throw line. You know, the one thing about Gabby, and you've talked about what she brings, I think she sets the intensity level for this team. I mean, she has just, in the games that we've watched, the games we've had on SNY, and as we've watched from afar as they've played these nationally ranked teams, that intensity level always is so high, and it just seems to rub off on the team that she is setting that tone for this year's team.
Yeah.
And they need it sometimes.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
need that little jolt, it seems, and she's provided it.
Yeah, and it's just so fun to watch her play. You know, we have talked again and again about her athleticism. And she does. She plays so hard. She demands her teammates play as hard as she does. But she has also worked herself into a really good basketball player.
Yeah, not just a great athlete that we've talked about since she first stepped on the UConn campus, but she's worked on her shot. Remember, her free throw shooting was terrible her freshman year. Shot 46%, worked on it, brought that up. Her overall game has come up. 4 on the shot clock for UCF.
She stayed on campus the last 2 summers and worked on her game, and it shows.
And there's Gabby on cue with the steal. Now running the break. The great bounce pass to Sanaya Chong. Couldn't finish it, but it's followed up by Gabby Williams.
What a joy she is to watch.
12 points now for Gabby. Lewis finds Endor, her first points. Dangerfield, Williams, Chong. Dangerfield with a mistake telegraphed that pass. Lewis will have her first points of the afternoon.
That pass works in high school, not in college.
Well, as we go through conference play with you here on SNY, that will be one of the things that you'll be watching closely here is the development of some of these players like Krista Dangerfield and using this opportunity in conference play to grow out of some of those high school mistakes.
That's a walk.
Traveling violation on Gabby Williams, one of the few mistakes she's made here this afternoon.
So elevates to steal the pass, and then look at her offensive rebound. Boom. Just explodes up. Doesn't even waste the time to come back down.
Butler and Dangerfield check out, final minute of play. Katie Lou Samuelson back on the floor with Collier. Lewis sets for three. Oh.
Whoa.
Williams skies and hauls down the rebound. Collier got bumped. UCF is over the limit, so 2 free throws coming for Nafisa.
UConn is in the bonus at the line of the 24, Nafisa Collier.
Nafisa second on the team in scoring at 19 points a game, has gone for 20 or more 7 times. She also battling foul trouble against Maryland, had 12 points, 5 rebounds. All 5 of her rebounds against the Terps on the offensive glass. You see her numbers here today. Perfect from the field into double figures with 10. UConn 7 of 12 from the free throw line. Shot clock is turned off. Final possession here for UCF. Down to 7. Right. Lewis can't hit. Williams rips down one more rebound, and she was fouled. So a trip to the free throw line to shoot 2 with 1.1 to go here in the first half.
And that rebound that Williams just came up with was really more strength and determination and just wanting it more.
12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists for Gabby. Perfect 5 of 5 from the field.
You know, that particular rebound, you got to give credit to Amanda Kimball, their strength coach, because that was upper body strength.
Gabby looks a little gassed right now. That first free throw barely caught the front iron, but she converts on the second one. Almost got one more steal for good measure, but Williams will lead the Huskies into the locker room. Here at halftime, she has a team-high 13 points as UConn on top 45-16 at the end of one. Let's head over to Justine with Gino.
Gino, what stood out to you about your team's play in that first half?
Mostly, I thought we were really good defensively. You know, we're making it really tough for them to get any kind of quality shot, and we're doing a really good job on the defensive backboard, and that's what's getting us a lot of transition stuff. So if we could just make a free throw, you know, I would have a lot less to complain about. But our defense has been really good.
All right, Coach, we'll see you in the second half. Eric, back to you.
Justine, thank you very much. 45-16 our score at halftime. Katie Lou Samuelson knocked down a couple of three-pointers. All good for UConn here on New Year's Day. Gary and Kara standing by after the break. First half stats are brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture. UConn shooting a season's best 73% from the field while holding UCF to 30% shooting. Turnover number very high for UConn, but the margin right now high as well. 45-16 our score at halftime, and the core four doing their thing in the first half. Gabby Williams leading the way with 13 points. Gabby, perfect 5 for 5 from the field. Collier 4 for 4 from the field in the first 20 minutes. Back here at courtside with Megan Como, I'm Eric Freed. Very impressive defensive performance by UConn in those first 20 minutes. And as we've seen through the years, that defense usually translates into high, efficient offense.
Well, and they shot 73% because they did get a lot of transition buckets and layups, but it all starts on the defensive end of the floor. Down on the floor, great hustle. I thought the team defensive concept today was spectacular. Great help there from Samuelson. Everyone knew where the ball was at all times, stepping in there to steal the ball. Another steal there by Williams. Everyone aware where not only where their man is, where the ball is. Probably the best team defensive half that we've seen this season.
Three-point shot is not a big part of UCF's offense so far under Katie Abrahamson-Henderson. They were 0 for 3 from beyond the three-point line. 8 of 27 overall from the field. And Zakira Lewis held in check, the leading scorer for UCF. 1 of 7 from the field, had just 2 points. It'll be UCF basketball to start in the second half with Nurse, Chong, Williams, Collier, and Samuelson, the original starting 5 on the floor for UConn. And a foul called on UCF on their first possession. Omukore gets whistled for her 3rd personal foul.
Wow, I didn't see what that even was.
Nurse, the extra pass to Chong, who sets and knocks down a three-pointer.
That's maturity right there. Nurse could have shot that ball. Instead, as you indicated, made the extra pass. She's just as happy with the assist. Nurse working hard on the defensive end too.
Kia Nurse gets called for the foul.
Yeah, a little bit too physical, trying to get around in that low post, but here, perfect pass, unselfish play, and that keeps the confidence for Chong elevating.
Second personal foul on Kia Nurse. Collier almost got the steal. Gregory leading UCF in scoring, 10 points in the first half. Good recovery by Gabby Williams. And Gabby fighting for the loose ball.
Out of bounds, UConn ball.
It'll be Huskies basketball.
Gabby Williams is just everywhere.
Well, she does everything. She comes in 4th on the team in scoring at just under 11 points a game, but the leading rebounder, leading the team in assists. And again, all those little intangibles that we talked about in the first half. Samuelson comes free at the money.
And she was free off the nice screen from who else but Gabby Williams.
10 points now for Katie Lou. Lewis, pretty good drive, got by Gabby Williams. You don't see that too often as Lewis used her speed to get to the basket, reversed it up now with 4 points. Williams fighting on the glass, and she was fouled.
Now see, it's important to move without the basketball. Set up your defender. See, she goes down and then comes off the screen from Williams. Kid just has a knack for scoring.
Nurse. Samuelson flies in on the offensive glass. And a second chance here for UConn. But now a turnover. Chong will let Lewis go for the 2.
Yeah, that cross-court pass, Sanaya Chong should know better. You can't make that pass.
Back out top to Chong, 7.5 to go in the second quarter. Third quarter, I beg your pardon. Taken away, another turnover here by UConn. Lewis to Gregory.
And there will be a substitution.
Crystal Dangerfield was summoned off the bench and reported to the scores table before that basket had dropped in.
That look set at all.
Samuelson's three is good. 13 points now for Katie Lou Samuelson. She also had 4 steals, 2 blocks, and 4 rebounds in the first half. Lewis heating up.
Yeah, she was kept in check in that first half. She has come out blazing here in the second.
Oh, good pass by Gabby Williams to Nafisa Collier for the 2. 12 points now for Nafisa. Williams got a hand on that pass, knocked it out of bounds. It's still UCF basketball.
I talked in the first half how these two play so well together. It's going to be really fun to watch those two to continue to evolve the way they pass back and forth in the lane.
Sanaya Chong does go to the bench as Dangerfield comes in. Gregory now with 12 points to lead UCF in scoring. Four minutes into the third quarter. Kia Nurse can't hit, but there's Collier on the offensive glass. She does such a great job on the offensive glass, and then leaning in, getting a little more space, and she puts it in for 2 more. Schuler picked up a dribble. Katie Lou Samuelson fighting for it, and a jump ball. And before the tie-up, the officials are going to say it was a 10 count, and it will be UConn basketball.
It's a 10-second violation. UConn basketball.
Just more toughness there from Samuelson, showing the grit. Such a better defender.
I don't recall a game in the now 4 years that we've been working together where there have been so many
10-second
calls. Samuelson can't get the 3. There's Williams.
Whoa.
Got bumped, but they play on.
Her momentum. A little too much that time.
That's just the second miss this quarter for UCF, and off the miss, Nurse with a little hesitation, and she was fouled and will head to the free throw line. UCF now 5 of 7 from the field in the second half as we bring you today's trivia question presented by Mercedes-Benz. Which former Husky holds the school record for most points scored in a single game? That answer coming up in just a few minutes. Fifi Endor back into the game for UCF as Nurse makes the first. Kia now with 9. Great balance in scoring once again for UConn. And a traveling violation. KK Wright, the freshman, with the turnover. Well, it doesn't matter what the score is. You're always going to work hard if you've got that UConn jersey on, and Nafisa Collier working on the offensive glass with the putback, and Huskies are rolling. Well, that answers that question. Where does the jolly man go when all is done? He's a snowbird too. Coming up this Wednesday night after the postgame show, SNY will premiere Huskies All Access, an hour-long documentary taking a look at the highs and the lows from the first few months of the season. Of course, there were a lot of questions heading into the season. Here's a preview.
I want this team to be successful. I want them to be, to have fun, to enjoy it, and yet at the same time be able to accomplish and reach the goals that they have for themselves. My job is to just do the best I can and put them in the position to be successful. If I'm good with that, you just got to cross your fingers and hope that it's enough.
So be sure to be with us Wednesday after the post-game show. We'll have UConn and ECU, and then the post-game show, and don't miss it. We've been lucky enough to get a sneak peek, and it's outstanding. I mean,
absolutely outstanding.
You want to see all the behind the scenes, and there were some great moments, without question.
Yeah, kudos to Joe Kraus. It was outstanding.
Here's Collier to Dangerfield. Dangerfield trying to weave through traffic. Shot clock at 6. Samuelson. Katie Lou now with 15. Samuelson reaches for it. That's one of the things that you just love about this UConn team. They'll dive for every available loose ball, no matter what the score. Katie Lou couldn't get this one, but she tried.
Yeah, and she's done a really nice job anticipating on the defensive end here this afternoon.
UCF trying to go over the top. Collier there defensively. Dangerfield touched it last, and it will be UCF basketball. 6 on the shot clock. Lewis, an open look. And Williams has the rebound. Molly Bent will check in for the first time. Next dead ball. Dangerfield, nice pass. And the finish by Collier.
I tell you, this kid Dangerfield can pass the basketball. She may have a lot to learn, you know, as a freshman, but she's got some inherent skills that you cannot teach.
Lewis got a couple of open looks. There's Williams with a block, but good work by Indoor to stick with it. She has 4 points. Dangerfield for Collier. Nurse calls for it. Collier was fouled by Massey. Here's today's drive of the game presented by Subaru.
Again, really good timing. Went away from where she knew she was going to pass the ball.
UConn ball.
Dangerfield now with 3 assists. Here is Molly Bent into the game. Williams, wide open look, gets the roll.
Gabby Williams.
First points of the second half for Gabby. She's 6 of 7 shooting from the field this afternoon. Approaching 2.5 to go. Dangerfield, Bent, Williams, Samuelson, Collier, the 5 on the floor for UConn. Lewis knocks this one down. Senior from Bartow, Florida, with 11. Bent finds a wide open Samuelson. KK Wright with the rebound. Lewis couldn't hit, but the follow-up by Indoor. Final 2 minutes of the quarter. That's knocked away by Lewis. It'll be UConn basketball. Our next UConn game on SNY will be this Wednesday as the Huskies will be in Hartford, and they'll welcome in the Pirates of East Carolina at the XL Center. Our coverage begins at 6:30. Gary and Kara with the Connecticut Lottery pregame show, only on SNY.
UCF foul 24.
Indoor picks up her 4th personal foul.
UConn is in the bonus at the line for the Huskies.
And Molly Bent will head to the free throw line. One thing we will see in conference play is more minutes for Molly Bent. We expect to see more of Kyla Irwin, of course, as we go along. You know, that non-conference schedule is so tough. It's so tough to get the freshmen, the new players, into the game. Molly did not play against Maryland. A couple of points here today.
And it will also be critical to get this core four some rest. I mean, you can't go an entire season. UConn commits the foul there on that low post, playing 35 minutes a game. That wears on you come March.
That's a second team foul as Samuelson picks up her second personal. Omokore to shoot a couple. Well, you know the adage, it's not how many players you have, it's who you have.
That's right.
And they have the right mix. Certainly in that win against Maryland, they had to mix and match some pieces with foul trouble being an issue, but figured out a way to get it done.
And they've had a variety of people step up in big situations in different games.
Dangerfield, crossover to get free off the window for two. 5 points now for Dangerfield. Made the move on Caleb Thigpen. One minute to go in the third quarter. Right. The entry. Collier and Samuelson there defensively. Batted out into the hands of Dangerfield. Williams travel.
How about the freshman with the handle and the change of direction? And then the nice kiss. Wow. And that's against a sophomore. That shows you a little glimpse of what to expect as this young lady evolves.
Gregory had nowhere to go when it's a traveling violation. Turnover number 19 for the Knights. UConn led 45-16 at halftime. And now a turnover for UConn.
Yeah, her right foot went over the half-court line. Those are the types of turnovers that drive Gino crazy.
16 total for UConn, their season high 20 at LSU. Samuelson with the rebound, plenty of time here for the push and a final shot as Samuelson will take it herself. Samuelson all the way will earn a trip to the free throw line.
UCF out, 25.
You know, it's just fun to see Katie Lou attack the defensive glass, rip down the rebound, and then goes the length of the floor and gets herself fouled. She's just getting better and better every day.
Samuelson with 15 points. First free throw attempt of the afternoon.
Checking in for UCF, number 13, Kayla Thomas. She replaces
Kayla Thomas, redshirt freshman out of Philadelphia, checks into the game, her 5th appearance this season. Katie Lou delivers at the free throw line, 82% free throw shooter. One final shot on the way from Gregory is short, and that is the end of the third quarter. Well, UCF made some shots in that third quarter, but UConn will take a comfortable lead into quarter number 4. They're still celebrating New Year's down here in Orlando. The party goes on, especially for those fans supporting the Huskies. Back with the fourth in a minute. We're back in in Orlando, ready for the fourth quarter of our New Year's Day matchup between UConn and UCF. Before we start the quarter, let's check back in with Justine.
Well, Eric, Nikisha Sales is in her first year as an assistant coach here at UCF. She told me it's an adjustment. I had to learn to see the game from a different perspective. Even though I spent 15 years in the league, this is a different kind of role. She kind of found the job by accident, too. Happened to be working out here in the gym, lives in the area, and in came Coach Abe, as they call her. And the rest is history. Eric?
Well, when you talk about UConn history, Nikisha is on the short list of great players for the University of Connecticut class of '98. Big East Player of the Year in '98, two-time All-American, 2,178 career points as Sanaya Chong starts the quarter by knocking down the jumper. She's been living in Orlando about the last 15 years or so this has worked out well for her. And from what I understand, she's a heck of a practice player still.
She is. She's still in good shape and just one of the all-time great people to ever play at UConn.
Molly Bent reaches in for the tie-up. It'll be UCF ball. There's Nikisha. The hair a little different back then, just a smidge. Rookie of the Year, Big East Player of the Year, tied for 4th all time.
Look at her, she's got a game face on.
That is a game face. Back to those playing days.
She's learning the ropes. She took this job saying, listen, Katie, you got to teach me. This is new to me. And she's soaking everything up. She loves it here.
Off the hands of Bent. Shot clock does not reset. It's down to 3. And they get an open look from Lewis. Natalie Butler into the game for UConn. And Bent will bring it up. Bent, Samuelson, Butler, Collier, Chong, the 5 on the floor for UConn. Huskies were up 24-6 after the first quarter, 45-16 at halftime, and they've stretched it out here to start the fourth. And Samuelson can't add 3 to it. Collier over the back for the foul. One more little bit of love for Nikisha Sales as we answer our UConn trivia question presented by Mercedes-Benz. The school record holder for points in a single game, of course, Nikisha went for 46 against Stanford in her senior season.
That was an unbelievable performance. I remember that game.
If you guessed Maya Moore like I normally do, you would have been close. Maya has the 2nd and 3rd top scoring performances in UConn history. Shot clock down to 2. Knocked out of bounds. The longest 2 seconds on the shot clock you can imagine. That's got to be a short 1 second on the shot clock right now. Kia Nurse will come into the game. It's still UCF basketball as Katie Lou Samuelson will head to the bench. Real solid all-around performance by Katie Lou. Not enough time to catch and shoot. It was a short second, so a shot clock violation, and it'll be UConn basketball.
There was nowhere for her to sit.
Yeah, she wants to sit. Well, it's going to take time when you come into a new program and had great success with the way you wanted to do things at Albany. And she was an assistant at Washington, Indiana, Michigan State, head coach of Missouri State. So she's had a lot of experience and going to take time, but good start when you take a look at the overall record for UCF, 10-3. And as we've seen, and as she's getting a close-up look here today, Coach Abe, teams in the American, you try to get ready for UConn. You've got a game plan in place, but once you step on the court,
it's a whole different ball game. But she's going to do it here.
Collier on the turnaround. So smooth. 18 points for Nafisa Collier. She is 8 of 9 from the field this afternoon. Right to Schuler for 2.
Nyla Schuler.
Nyla Schuler, the redshirt sophomore from here in Orlando, with 4 points. Butler on the turnaround. Gregory, watched by Collier. Lewis leans in, can't get it. Butler has the rebound. The outlet to Kia Nurse. Inside of 6.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter as UConn closing in on their 88th win in a row. Butler's been in the paint for a little while. And now the 3-second violation is called.
When Butler catches that ball, she's just got to do a baby hook there. She worked hard to get the position. Don't overthink it.
Gregory. Lewis, good feed, and Endor with the finish. 8 points now for Endor. Crystal Dangerfield getting ready to check into the game. Nurse. There's Butler with the rebound. Thought about going right up with it.
And the kid can't catch a break, you know.
She gets called for the offensive foul.
But the coaches don't mind if Butler gets an offensive foul. And that's a good call. But those are fouls that you can live with as a coach.
Crystal Dangerfield back in as Sanaya Chong checks out. Dangerfield again showing off the handle, just couldn't finish. Approaching 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Been all Huskies from the start. Pull up by Gregory. 14 points now for Gregory. She's leading the Knights in scoring this afternoon. Came into the game second on the team. That's another turnover for Dangerfield. The feed ahead to Lewis. Lewis with a nice finish. UConn had 20 turnovers in the win against LSU. They have 20 turnovers here this afternoon. That should be one of the themes that we'll see as Dangerfield launches a deep three. There's Butler on the glass. Good hard work by Natalie Butler, rewarded with two. Is that there's always going to be something to work on for this group of players. That seems to be the case whenever Gino talks about this year's team and clean up, taking care of the basketball. This is still a 34-point game, but
when they watch the film, there'll be no indication of a 34-point lead at any time.
It'll be all the turnovers cut together by the UConn staff.
Exactly.
Lewis now with 15 points. Collier. She'll try it from outside. Well, Nafisa Collier has missed just one shot this afternoon. She's 9 of 10 from the field. And Nafisa is at the 20-point mark for the 8th time this season. Gregory and Lewis leading the way. Gregory now with 16 points, Lewis with 15. Collier will try from the same spot just about, and same result.
Just so smooth. That's the word that comes to mind.
Media timeout.
Well, she was 10 of 14 from the field in UConn's last trip down to Florida, the season opener against Florida State. Hot again today. Timeout on the floor. Well, maybe giving them the gift of being nasty would be the gift to him.
Exactly.
It's what he's looking for a post-holiday gift. What about that, though, about playing with an edge and not being nice? I've heard all the stories about you. That was one of your highlights of being a nasty player. That's not the word people have used about you, by the way.
But when you step in between the lines, you just...
Oh, yeah, you're very nice now. If you stepped on the court, it'd be a different story. Get another timeout here, 81-47. Fourth quarter here in Orlando. I certainly hope they've cleaned up around the neighborhood after last night. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Kara. 20 assists for the Huskies. Their season high 29 against DePaul. Crystal Dangerfield, Molly Bent, Tierney Lawler, Natalie Butler, and Kyla Irwin, the 5 on the floor right now for UConn. Oh, good feed from Butler to Dangerfield. Count it, the foul.
Pretty play. Butler has shown some nice passing skills. Good movement without the ball from Dangerfield.
Replacing and doing the lineup for UCF, number 25, Tobu Omokore.
So Gary and Kara have another example of sharing the basketball to share with you post-game.
It's nice to have them with us.
That's right.
Haven't seen them in a
Kickoff
while.
conference play. 9 points now for Dangerfield to go along with 4 assists. Tough turnaround, batted away by Irwin into the hands of Bent. For Dangerfield. Lawler. And a traveling violation called. 21 turnovers, 21 assists. Not the ratio you're looking for.
A lot of them were unforced, too.
Polacek back into the game for UCF. As Butler comes in to block the shot attempt by Christian Height. Freshman making her 6th appearance of the season. .122 to go, fourth quarter. 4 on the shot clock, and a foul going to be called on Molly Bent. That will be the 3rd team foul on UConn.
That's her first, the team's 3rd. Next ball.
Next up for UConn will be ECU Wednesday at the XL Center. UCF will be at Cincinnati on Wednesday.
Left in the period.
Final minute, back to Polacek. After that East Carolina game, it will be USF, the only other ranked team in the American. USF has given UConn a battle from time to time, but unable to knock off the Huskies. We'll see how close the gap is this year between USF and UConn. That game is on the 10th of January at the XL Center.
I would imagine that game would be incredibly competitive.
Omokore will get another attempt at the free throw line. So it's ECU, then USF. We'll have the ECU game and the SMU game for you here on SNY. And I'm not great at math, but if things work out the right way, that SMU game could have some historical importance.
But I can imagine Gino will talk about, one game at a time, and don't look ahead, because USF is talented enough and well coached enough to beat this team.
Bent tried to get it into Irwin. Irwin couldn't get it. And it's pulled down by Omokore. Shot clock is turned off as UCF brings it across half court. Massey Kicks it back outside. Now Big Pen down to 5 seconds. 4 seconds, batted away. One more turnover for UCF, and that will do it here in Orlando. New year, same result for the University of Connecticut. Their 88th consecutive victory. For the second time, they have matched that UCLA men's streak from long ago, but now 2 wins closer to their record of winning 90 in a row. And it really started on the defensive end here this afternoon, Meg.
It really did, and you know, I'm sure Gino's not thrilled with everything that happened, but you know what? It's, you know, New Year's Day on the road. I think he's got to be thrilled with the defensive effort, and some of the individual performances were equally spectacular.
They have been on the road since that trip to Maryland came down here. They'll go back home here this afternoon. Let's hear from the head coach. Gino standing by with Justine.
Gino, the play of your sophomores, what kind of improvements have you seen from last year?
Well, they're getting a lot more playing time, and they're getting a lot more opportunities. You know, sometimes there weren't a whole lot of shots to be had last year, and they're a lot more confident. They've just worked a lot at their game, and they just feel like it's their opportunity right now as opposed to last year, and you can tell they just play with a lot of confidence.
I heard you in the huddle saying you like some things defensively. What did you like there?
Well, for a lot of the game, except for the big parts of the second half, we just made it impossible for them to get inside the lane and to get the shots that they wanted. We kind of got a little bit lax towards the end, but I liked how hard we played without fouling them, without putting them on the free throw line, and that's the key to good defense. You know, play hard, don't foul, and we didn't give up a lot of second shots. So all in all, I thought it was a really good defensive effort.
All right, thanks, Coach. Another win. Eric, back to you.
Thanks, Justine. For a moment there, I thought Justine and Gino were going to have to sing the UCF alma mater. 84-48. Nafisa Collier and the Huskies make it 13-0 this season. Back in a moment.